Hello, hi everyone. Hello, good morning. Bonjour. My name is Catherine Barba. Welcome to Win Forum 2020. I'm really happy to be with you this week and today to celebrate diversity and inclusion, women in business, female founders and funders. Before anything, I wanted to acknowledge the tragic events that are unfolding in America this week. And I wanted to share with you that more than ever, the WIN Forum is committed to encourage diversity, inclusion, and inclusive behavior. This have been said, we are here for half an hour now to speak about fundraising, women fundraising, and I'm super happy to have this conversation now with two incredible women in tech. And I would like to welcome them on this screen. Meara, who is an amazing funder in Silicon Valley. Hello, Anne. Hi.
Hello.
I encourage you to ask all the questions you want to Anne, because it's the moment now. And Danielle Lee. Hello, Danielle.
Hi, Catherine.
Danielle is the founder of Popshop, the next generation of e-commerce, and I'm very excited to have both of you here. So I would suggest we just have half an hour. So I would suggest that we would divide our time to cover three topics. First, we're going to speak about you. Then we're going to speak about raising funds in challenging times. And then we're going to finish with the topic of closing the funding gap, which we are all passionate about, right? So Anne, we'll start with you. Can you introduce yourself for those who do not know you here?
Yes, I'm Meara. I am a co-founding partner of a seed stage firm called Floodgate, which I founded 12 years ago in 2008. Before that, I worked for 5 years. I had also been an analyst at a venture capital firm called CRV. My second day of work there was 9/11. And then I also got my PhD at Stanford in math modeling of cybersecurity. And I was thinking of starting my company in that space when I got convinced to start a venture firm instead.
Wow. And what made you become an investor?
I think it's sort of what a lot of founders go through. I actually saw a gap in the funding market, which was, we saw that there were new technologies causing founders not to need as much money as they used to. So back in 2001, the typical funding round was $5 million for 50% of your company.
Wow.
We believe that that was no longer necessary, that we could offer a product where founders only needed $500,000 to $2 million, and we would be able to take such a smaller ownership of the business and allow the founders to own more of what they had. And there were no firms doing that. There were maybe 4 or 5 in our community who had that strategy. And we felt like we could offer that as well. And we managed in 2008 to raise a fund off of that story, and went off to the races to find entrepreneurs who had the same feeling as well.
Excellent. So in 12 years, you have invested in many successful companies, right? Can you give us some figures, like how many companies, how much money?
Yeah, so we've had over $500 million under management now. My biggest success was actually investing in a company called Lyft, where I was the seed stage investor back in 2010.
Wow.
And I still sit on the board of the company as it is now public. I was the first backer, seed stage investor into Refinery 29 when it was, I think, 20 employees. The first investor into TaskRabbit. I moved Leah Buskey out to San Francisco when it was still called Run My Errand. My partner, Mike, was an investor Justin.tv that turned into Twitch. also investor into Twitter in the early stages. So we have a background in investing, what I would say before the rest of the world believes, into companies where we find a founder that we just can't live without. And I think Danielle is one of those.
Yeah, I was about to say, ta-da, just like Danielle, right?
Yeah.
Here's
Oh, it's about,
yeah,
okay,
it was the perfect transition for you to
perfect.
introduce
Yeah,
yourself.
thank you, Anne. Thank you, Anne. Thank you, Catherine. Full disclosure, like this, both Catherine and Anne are my investor, and you guys are the best. So Danielle Lee, I'm the founder of Popshop Live. Before Popshop Live, my first job out of school was working at United Nations Global Compact on sustainability, and it was there that I got very inspired to about all the changes happen in the consumer technology, and I really believe that private sector, especially technology, is really a more effective way for me to really move things forward and really change people's behavior. So I started to work in tech, but it was quite a journey because I didn't have any experience. I work at big tech company, so it's really myself learning from the people I work with and building the products, almost like in a way that it's like handcraft a product that I believe in and that I would love to use and I can use intuitively.
Can you pitch Popshop for in like 1 minute?
Yeah. So Popshop Live is a platform, it's a live streaming e-commerce platform that sellers or store owners can create their interactive live shopping channel. And the customer, they can tune in and purchase directly from the channel. And right now we are seeing some of the sellers and store owners that we work with, after a few months using Popshop, they started to use Popshop as their primary channel to sell. We not only have the live streaming part, but we also build very intuitive but very effective storefront management, order management, and inventory management too.
To me, you're I don't know what you think, Anne, but to me, this is the next generation for e-commerce, right? It's entertaining, it's social, it's live streaming. And I was just wondering, what qualities as a founder do you see in Danielle? Don't listen, Danielle.
You know, so what I always, what I'm looking for and what I specifically see in Danielle is someone who is always learning, someone who's very curious, and someone who is strongly opinionated, but who holds those opinions loosely, right? So she deeply has conviction, but she's always willing to change her mind.
Wow.
And that's what I've really loved about seeing how she thinks, and how she just doesn't do everything that an investor comes in. We'll come in at the 50,000 foot level and say, hey, what do you think of this? And, you know, oftentimes you'll find entrepreneurs who will then just go and do that thing, but she'll engage in the debate and she'll talk about, why do we believe in these things? Or is there something she doesn't see? So that I'm learning as much as from the viewpoint of what I get to see, but then I also get to learn from her because she's seeing the details. And I find that to be an incredibly valuable experience for me. And I love the working relationship that I have.
Wow, love it. And you, Danielle, in a word,
This is the first time.
That's really a gem, right? What qualities do you see in Anne as a founder that help you grow?
I think first and foremost, I think one thing that really like make me feel really really confident about it. The really happy about the partnership is that I think Anne care about humanity, and I think this is something very important for me. So, and this is not that often in startup or investor that I have met. So I really appreciate that. And also on the other side, I think I really like to look at the fundamental of problem, and I think Anne really shared that aspect. So we can have a very good conversation, debate, or discussion about, and also, and I think it's also very helpful that Anne is also professor at Stanford. So I feel like all the conversation I have Anne is really Anne asking questions to help me to think about things in the right ways.
Wow.
So I think that's why I really
very valuable. All right, thank you. Now we could go into the second topic, which is fundraising. I mean, growing and investing in challenging times. And I have a question for you, Anne, is if you see all the companies that you have invested in, they're probably having, some of them are having a hard time with the crisis. How do you see them react to this crisis?
Yeah, and I think, you know, it's interesting because the crisis has now become manifold, right? It's not just a single COVID-19 crisis. It is a crisis in the country about identity and how we share in that responsibility. So it's manifold, right? So if I tease it apart a little bit, the COVID-19 crisis has created both huge problems as well as huge opportunities for companies. And we've seen some companies accelerate into this situation, and then other companies come to a screeching halt. And the main thing that we've been advising our companies on is what kind of runway do you want to have? So most of the time we are saying 2 to 3 years of cash. And if you don't have that, to start thinking about either fundraising or what's the path to getting to cash flow positive that we can think through as soon as possible. And then the third thing that we really think through is what is the product market fit that you're seeing today? Is it product market fit in the sense of you had it in January and you're not seeing it today, but it may come back? What are we counting on for it to come back? Do you see product market fit today? What are the conditions under which we will continue to see it? Or if you don't have it at all, are we building for COVID-19 product market fit, or are we building for a future beyond that? And what does that future look like? It's a very interesting set of conversations that we're having. Now, when it comes to the other crisis, which is an ongoing crisis, and for many people, really like revisiting our fundamental assumptions. You know, number one, we've had some of our customers actually directly impacted by what's happening in the cities, and you know, companies like Popshop are working with these customers, but then we also, you know, from a floodgate perspective, we're looking at, you know, how do we actually extend to intersectionality, not only within our organization, but also within our companies? How do we help them extend their talent to access new communities that they haven't accessed in the past? And I think providing great opportunities to a wide swath of very different communities and providing a megaphone to new voices, I think is absolutely critical at this time. And it's something that everyone needs to think about. And we're encouraging not only our founders, but we're encouraging our partnership and our team to really deeply think about it and figure out what we can actually do to translate those thoughts and emotions into actual action write a check, hire the people.
This is key. Thank you. And you, Danielle, how do you navigate this new phase? Is it an opportunity, as Anne was saying, for Popshop?
Yeah, yeah, our business definitely got a lot. I mean, first of all, Popshop is built on a long-term vision about what we believe, how people are going to engage with the world in the future or build community. But at the same time, I definitely think this crisis bring the future to much more closer and sooner, and things happen like I'm sure that you have seen, you have probably have shared the graph that the e-commerce penetration accelerated in 8 weeks time compared to the last 10 years.
So because retail is at zero, so obviously.
Yeah, not only live streaming e-commerce, it's almost like everyone right now is looking at live streaming as a format. So our business absolutely getting a lot of attention. And also at the same time, we're also very happy that because we have been building the product in the last few years, and we are actually right at the time that our product is ready. And so we pretty much immediately help a lot of business from deeply suffer from the crisis to suddenly become selling much more than before crisis. And right now, like business using Popshop as a primary channel, and they're bringing all their business they know to bring them on Popshop because they believe that this is the future.
Behaviors are definitely changing, right? The thing is,
yeah.
How can we identify what is going to stay and what is going to disappear? I mean, that's what is at stake here. But I believe that buying in a way where it's entertaining, it's social, and it's live is probably something that is going to last, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think people's behavior is going to change permanently, like even the crisis.
Yeah, I had a question for Anne concerning your investment. Are you investing in new businesses or just taking care of the one you have invested in? Are you? What's your position?
Oh no, so we are, so Danielle actually, we closed the round as the whole crisis and shelter, shelter in place was already in place. And so we're definitely meeting with new companies, writing checks. And you know, for me, I love working with entrepreneurs who are super early in the process. And so I would say Danielle is one of the more mature companies that we're investing in. She's product out, she has customers. But you know, to me, investing doesn't stop because the environment is looking a little bit crazier. In fact, that's the best time to invest.
Yeah, people ask on the chat, and you do not only invest in underserved founders, right? You invest also in male-owned businesses, or what is your theory?
Oh yeah, so we invest in the very best, and so when we invested in Danielle, it wasn't that we were investing in a female-owned business. In fact, there was a time when one of my partners actually pointed out, did you realize actually the last 4 investments we made were into female founders? And it turned out each investment that a partner had made in the last 6 months, they were all women.
Good for you.
What was wonderful about that is that we hadn't even noticed, right? It wasn't a marketing thing. It wasn't a desire to do that. It wasn't proactive. It was because it naturally happened. And so that's where like we can now turn our attention beyond gender to intersectionality to other underrepresented minorities. That is something that we're looking at.
I love this. Maybe we can focus now on this funding gap topic to finish with, because it's really something that we're all working on. And I was wondering, Danielle, if you could share about the obstacles that you face while raising funds, not particularly as a woman, but what was hard for you in in this phase of raising funds?
I think for fundraising, the most important thing is, I think first of all, you have to be a true entrepreneur and founder. If you're a true entrepreneur and founder, you will always have the faith. I think one thing that I really appreciate, one of my investor said about me is that like she would do it with or without the money, and I think that's what I have been doing in the past few years. And also on the other side, I take all this conversation and challenge. I think it's a two-side conversation. It's not just about our goal is never get the investment. I think the entire fundraising process, I definitely have probably talked to like probably 100 investors. I think it's a really mutual selective process. Like once you find the person, and also don't be afraid of people saying no, because that only means that it's not a good match. I'm actually, when I'm looking back, I really thank everyone that said no, because that's how I met Anne, and that's the one. So I really think that this process really take the fear out of the equation and really focus on that you are determined, and you know that eventually you're going to.
Takes a long time, right?
Yeah.
Anne, can you give us an overview of how you see the situation evolve in the United States for female founders and raising funds? Do you think there's an improvement? There's been an improvement in the past years or month. What is your feeling about this?
The numbers suggest that there are more, but at the same time, there are just more founders, right? And so it's never enough. Like you have to constantly be pushing for more people to come to the forefront, encouraging people to make the jump. You know, I think with underserved entrepreneurs, it's actually really on the funders also to take a proactive approach. And so, you know, we have female founder office hours that is being done through All Raise, which is an organization that I helped found to increase the number of female VCs within the VC community.
Yes, we have the same in France, but it's called Sista, and it's exactly the same structure like All Raise, and I believe it's really effective. Yeah.
It's very effective, but it's again, like we can't take our eye off the ball, right? And when we think about sort of the larger group of underserved entrepreneurs, one of the things that I really encourage people to do, if you're an ally, if you are a funder, to actually take meetings with people where you feel like you can provide support. And I encourage a lot of men to do this because you don't want all of that to be on the shoulders of women and underserved minorities. To just take the meeting and find out more about that entrepreneur, even if you believe you wouldn't fund that company, because maybe you could give them that piece of advice that gets them over the edge. And so just providing a foot in the door is really important. And I spend a large percentage of my time doing that. And I think the more people can do that, the better.
That's awesome. So you say office hours, having men as allies around us, with us, to push for more diversity in founders, and are they and to get women in funds, women partners in funds. I don't know how the situation is here. What's the percentage of funds that have
it's still
partners?
It's still single digits, and so it's not enough. And I think you know what's powerful is that there's a lot of women now going out and starting their own firms. And so I think not only is it on partnerships to hire more women at the general partner level, people who can write checks, to make them managing partners too, so they are decision makers within the strategy of the fund. But then also asking limited partners who invest into venture firms to make that a priority as well. And we are seeing that. But but we need to see more. It's never enough.
I agree. I agree. The question here, among the many questions is one, do you believe there should be quotas like imposed to the funds to say we should at least invest in X% of women-owned businesses, or it is too artificial?
I am not 100% sure that that necessarily helps, right? And I'm of the believer that the pressure just from the visibility of like, are you really not able to find any female entrepreneurs? I think at this stage, like it's not an issue to find like great female entrepreneurs. So if you aren't finding them, that is on the venture capital firm. And so it shouldn't be a quota that requires you to get there. That said, I think the pressure to figure out if you have that pipeline, the deal flow, I think that's a question that many people should ask. And one of the most visible ways of doing it is actually having a diverse partnership. We noticed very early on, because Mike and I had a 50-50% female male ratio, that we actually had just as many female founders coming to pitch us as some of the very large firms. This was back in 2010. And so it's just that visibility that can actually change the dynamics of who you actually invest in.
Mm-hmm. All right. Oh my God. We have just 5 minutes, less than 5 minutes, and so many questions. I just have one for, actually many people, Danielle, asked if you were looking for a partner. I mean, in business, are you considering the idea of, do you have a co-founder?
Yeah, I'm a solo founder, but I have experience working with co-founder, but it didn't work out because it's a really long journey that take a lot of patience. Like, I mean, the relationship were great, but not everyone has the same patience. But of course, I think even though I might not have a co-founder, but we have a very close founding team of almost 10 people that we are very transparent, very connected with each other, and share pretty much a vision of the company. So I think this is actually also something that I've been thinking, like instead of having like 2 or 3 co-founder, it might be even more powerful to have like a strong founding team.
Oh, interesting. So I know another, oh my God, 2 minutes and so many questions. Which one am I going to pick? Yeah, one is for Danielle again. What is your end game with Popshop? How do you see the next thing? I mean,
yeah, I can share the vision. I think the vision of Popshop is really empower and inspire people to expand their identity, connection, and experience. And I think Popshop itself is providing a sustainable and self-sufficient ecosystem to make that happen. Yeah.
So you don't want to become the next Amazon or the next Shopify or whatever it will come. It will come.
That will happen if we can do something even bigger. Yeah.
And just one of the questions is, are there particular sectors in tech that you're particularly interested in, like health or education, or what are you particularly looking at those days?
Yeah, so I am looking at 2 things. One would be what most people would call future of work. And so how do you actually enable people to follow their purpose and either be an effective solopreneur or actually be a part of a larger organization where you have flexibility in how you work. And I think enterprise software will have to change in that direction. The second on the consumer side is what I'm calling the future of joy. And I think, you know, the future of joy is really about so many different things. It is about entertainment. It is about connecting with other people through increasingly digital platforms. But it is also like, how do you have fun? And like the fact that consumer spend has drastically changed, that, you know, travel has gone to zero, doesn't mean that people aren't going to have fun anymore. And so where will that spend go? I'm really interested in how people see that future, and help me see it too.
I love it. I love it. And so pleasure and fun is one thing. My very, very last question is about mission-driven companies. You know, we talk a lot about public good. And when someone is asking, do you believe it can be served by private industry? Do you think that civic tech can become a unicorn, a mission-driven company?
I ultimately, yeah. So I do believe that every company is going to have to become a mission-driven business. And so if you look at Gen Z and how they want to incorporate life into their work, into their lives, it is with respect to a more larger purpose. And so this is bigger than a social enterprise. I think every organization needs to have a tie to why they exist and why they make the world a better place, and create abundance for someone other than just the corporation itself.
I couldn't.
And so I really believe in that.
So that's a good way to end this great panel. Thank you, Anne. Thank you, Danielle, for your time.
Thank you. Thank
sharing.
you.
Sorry for all of you.
Thank you so much.
We did not answer, but we will continue the conversation. And thank you for the hope and the good vibes. See you soon. And we meet again in 20 minutes for the next panel with Virginie Morgon, the private equity iconic investor. Bye. Merci.